Not absolutely everything that ends up on board an airplane is listed in the official passenger list. Some things and entities appear quietly, remaining completely unnoticed, right until the moment when it becomes too late. From mysterious figures whose boarding onto the flight none of the crew remembers, to inexplicable incidents at an altitude of 30,000 feet, a persistent feeling arises that something sinister is hidden here, and as soon as you notice it, any logic simply ceases to work. This video was supposedly filmed by a passenger right during the flight, and it was exactly this that caused one of the creepiest disputes on the internet. On the recording above the clouds, one can notice huge humanoid figures that are seemingly walking through the air, as if there is a solid surface beneath them. Their movements looked strange, jerky, unnatural, and their dimensions seemed too large compared to the airplane. Some viewers were certain that these were creatures of extraterrestrial origin. Others began to remember theories about Project Bluebeam and holographic experiments, supposedly intended for testing the reaction of humanity. But however they explained it, the very sight of the silhouettes striding across the clouds at an altitude of thousands of meters turned out to be so frightening that many could not finish watching the video to the end. On the 30th of June, 2023, on a flight connected with the Zadar airport in Croatia, a strange incident occurred. One of the passengers suddenly jumped up from his seat and started pointing at the person next to him. He looked truly terrified. He was shivering, screaming, and begging to stop the airplane. The flight attendants tried to calm him down, but the man broke away and ran down the aisle, repeating that he urgently needed to leave the board. The passengers later said that it was not an ordinary panic attack. Some were certain. The man saw something non-human in the neighboring passenger. On the internet, this case was quickly compared with other viral stories about reptilians in airplanes. Whether this is a coincidence or not, no one ever understood, but the atmosphere on that flight became truly creepy. On the 23rd of September 2025, residents of Copenhagen noticed a strange glowing object above the city. After this, the operation of the airports abruptly stopped. Eyewitnesses described the object as a bright sphere, hovering in the air without any signs of engines or propellers. Airport employees filmed green lights moving quickly above the runway, and soon footage of police cars filling the streets near the airport got onto the network. The authorities stated that they have high-quality recordings, but they refused to publish them. Exactly this caused even more suspicions. People were certain, if there is nothing to hide, then why hide the materials? In the Denver airport, a woman suddenly began to read out a letter with a trembling voice right in the middle of the terminal. Passengers stopped and started to film what was happening on their phones. She claimed that she and her children were being held against their will and that she was ordered to voice the message. According to her words, strange forces are preparing an event that will become worse than the 11th of September. The woman asked for protection, agreed to undergo a polygraph test, and assured that she is ready to provide evidence. But a few minutes later, she was surrounded by employees of the security service and taken away. Since then, no information about her has appeared anymore. And exactly this generated the main question. If she was truly speaking the truth, then who forced her to remain silent? On the 6th of February 2026, near the El Paso airport, a strange video began to spread on the network. On the recording, several glowing spheres were visible, motionlessly hovering above the horizon. Practically immediately after the appearance of the video, the authorities unexpectedly closed the airspace of the region, explaining this by the appearance of a balloon in the restricted zone. But local residents did not believe in the official version. The objects did not move like a balloon, did not drift with the wind, and looked too stable. For many, the sudden closure of the sky became only a confirmation of the fact that the authorities were trying to hide something much more serious. And the faster they tried to hush up the story, the more suspicious it became. On the 3rd of April 2024, an ordinary Spirit Airlines flight suddenly turned into chaos. A woman started screaming right in the cabin and could not stop. Passengers told that her behavior looked frighteningly abnormal. She did not react to the requests of the crew, moved abruptly, and was as if talking to herself. As a result, the police made the decision to completely evacuate the airplane in order to safely remove her from the board. The video quickly spread across the network, and many eyewitnesses claimed that at that moment the atmosphere in the cabin was truly creepy. Some were certain this was not just a panic attack. The Denver airport has long been considered one of the strangest places in the United States of America. And the new case only amplified these rumors. One of the passengers filmed a talking gargoyle statue, which unexpectedly pronounced that it had been here for 6,000 years. Many perceived this as a joke, but fans of conspiracy theories immediately recalled the legends about secret symbols and hidden underground structures beneath the airport. And when another person recorded a strange voice in the terminal, similar to a distorted non-human message, the conversations flared up with new strength. People began to wonder, why exactly around this airport does something inexplicable constantly happen? In one of the terminals, a woman suddenly began to behave extremely strangely. She screamed, moved chaotically, and frightened the people around. People tried to calm her down, but it only got worse. Some passengers later said that at a certain point, her voice and behavior ceased to look human. Panic quickly spread through the waiting area, and the video from the terminal instantly got onto the internet. And although official explanations never appeared, many were certain what was happening looked too strange for an ordinary nervous breakdown. Rumors about strange phenomena in airports have existed for a long time, but this video took the theories to a new level. A person walking across the territory of the airport filmed a device lying right on the concrete. It looked like a round mechanism with wires and blinking lights. When the camera came closer, the light began to blink faster, and a strange hum appeared in the air. Then, something even stranger happened. The space nearby seemingly distorted. The image began to ripple, and then the recording sharply cut off. The users of the network argued. Someone called it an ordinary montage. Others spoke about an interdimensional portal. And if this was indeed something similar, then a question arises. Perhaps airports are needed not only by humans. In the year 2025, a video was filmed in the Denver airport that quickly became viral. At first, it was difficult to understand what was happening at all. The parking lot was enveloped in a haze and a flickering light. But then a bright sphere slowly floated out from the fog. It moved too smoothly and confidently, as if it was controlled by something intelligent. People tried to find a rational explanation, from a rare natural phenomenon to a new generation drone. But others immediately remembered all the strange legends connected with the Denver airport. And exactly this made the recording especially alarming. A place that is already surrounded by conspiracy theories once again found itself in the center of something inexplicable. One researcher of unidentified flying objects, confident that the authorities are hiding contact with extraterrestrial technologies, sneaked onto the territory of a closed airport and recorded what many called the strangest object in recent years. This was not an airplane. A huge black pyramid-shaped craft, covered with lights along the edges, hovered over the runway. It moved slowly and silently, while a column of automobiles accompanied it towards the hangar. Commands could be heard over the radio, as if they were talking about a secret operation. The video instantly caused disputes. Some spoke of a military prototype, others of technology of non-human origin. But most of all, people were frightened by another thing. An impression was created that this object was not intended for human eyes at all. In the year 2024, a pilot located at an altitude of approximately 1,000 feet reported glowing spheres that were rapidly approaching his airplane. According to his words, the objects moved with incredible speed, sharply changed direction, and did not behave like ordinary drones. The situation became so serious that the Stewart Airport in New York temporarily closed the runways. The authorities spoke about unknown unmanned aerial vehicles, but no one ever gave a clear answer as to what exactly the pilots saw. Almost a year passed, and the mystery remained unsolved, and exactly the absence of explanations forced many to believe that these were not drones at all. The sky above the Tianjin airport in China turned into a real chaos when people noticed a multitude of glowing objects all at once. The lights hovered over the airport for so long that the operation of the terminals had to be temporarily stopped. Videos quickly filled the internet. Dozens of flickering dots were hanging motionlessly in the air, as if observing what was happening below. Some considered them ordinary drones. Others wondered, why would drones hover for hours over an airport without a single movement? Some even suggested that the objects might be interested in the fuel or the systems of the airport. As crazy as it might sound, people never received an official answer. Not everything that is in the airplane gets onto the passenger list. Sometimes something appears already after landing, without noise, without warning. And the most creepy thing is, they noticed this too late. A night cleaner was walking through an empty airplane, filming an ordinary video for social networks. It was quiet in the cabin. All the rows were empty, not a single soul around. He was talking into the camera until he suddenly fell silent. Right in front of him, a seatbelt in one of the seats slowly unfastened all by itself, just as if someone had just stood up from the place. The man immediately checked the row. The seat was empty. The entire airplane as well. Later, people tried to explain this by vibration, air pressure, anything at all. But on the recording, the movement looked too precise, too conscious. And the strangest thing is, the cameraman was certain that a second before that, he felt as if someone was sitting right behind his back. A security guard of the night airport heard a sound that is impossible to confuse with anything else, a child crying. At such a time, the terminal was already closed. No one remained inside. He went towards the sound, and near the panoramic windows, he saw a silhouette of a small child. The figure stood motionless, but as soon as the man approached, the crying abruptly broke off, and the child simply disappeared. Did not run away, did not hide, disappeared. Later, the security completely checked the terminal, but no one turned out to be inside. When the story got onto the internet, many connected it with a series of unidentified flying object reports near airports. Some assured that this was not a child at all, but something trying to take on a human form. In the year 2018, a security guard in Mexico City was checking an old decommissioned airplane after strange sounds inside. He was walking slowly down the aisle with a flashlight until the noise sounded again. This time, from the tail section. When the man pointed the camera to the end of the cabin, a figure appeared in the frame. A dark silhouette was peeking out from around the corner between the seats. It was as if it was hiding. The guard took a few steps forward, but the figure sharply disappeared. Exactly at this moment, the man broke down and ran out of the airplane. The video became viral, and the users divided. Someone saw a ghost. Someone saw something much worse. One of the passengers ignored the warning of the crew not to open the window blind during the parking, and regretted about it almost immediately. Something strange was happening on the airfield. Military personnel accompanied by machinery were loading an enormous figure resembling a creature into the airplane. It moved unnaturally, and around it were armed people, as if they were guarding not just a cargo, but a real secret. The video cut off too quickly, but this was enough for the internet to explode with theories. Some spoke about a secret experiment. Others, about a creature that should not exist. Later, the authorities declared that this was just a prop for a safari park, but almost no one believed in this. The night shift of the airport security service was reviewing the surveillance cameras and noticed movement in one of the offices. The room was supposed to be empty, but someone was sitting on a chair with their back to the camera. At first, the figure did not move, and then it slowly turned around. A woman with a pale, almost dead face and glowing eyes appeared on the recording. She was wearing a dirty white robe, as if she had just crawled out of the earth. The security guards later confessed that none of them wanted to go check the room alone. A woman was filming a video near the Los Angeles International Airport when she noticed a strange red light under the runway. Between the concrete slabs, it was as if something was pulsating from the depth. The glow was saturated, unnatural, as if something enormous was hiding under the airport. Users immediately started to build theories about underground bases and secret facilities. Skeptics tried to explain everything with the ordinary lights of the airport system, but even through the camera, it looked too strange. A photographer was shooting advertising frames at the Denver airport, and only later, while already reviewing the photographs, noticed a strange figure in the window. A pale woman was looking straight into the lens. Her face was almost transparent, and her expression was absolutely motionless. At the moment of the shooting, there was no one behind the glass. This shot quickly became one of the most discussed photographs connected with the airport, and the rumors about ghosts inside the building flared up with new strength. The almost empty airport in Phuket became the place for one of the strangest recordings connected with terminals. The camera zoomed in on a passenger boarding bridge, but no airplane was connected to it. It was simply hanging in the air, leading to nowhere, and exactly there, faint dark silhouettes began to appear, as if someone was running along the passageway, which not a single living creature was supposed to use. When the video scattered across the network, many remembered the tragic airplane crash in Phuket in the year 2007 and suggested that the camera could have accidentally captured the souls of the deceased passengers. Others considered that this is not connected with the crash, but that we are facing a completely different phenomenon, which merely looks like human shadows. But in any case, the empty boarding bridge, along which someone is seemingly moving, left the viewers with an extremely unpleasant feeling. In one airport, a surveillance camera filmed a man who was calmly standing at the check-in counter and did not differ in any way from an ordinary passenger. But at some point, the fabric of his long clothing shifted, and under it, something showed on the recording that a human should not have, not legs, but hooves. The security was shocked and almost immediately set off to check this person. But when the employees reached the place, he was already gone. He disappeared without a trace, as if he dissolved among the passengers. After this video, many started saying that this was not a human, but something disguised as an ordinary traveler. And exactly this thought scares the most. Hundreds of people might be standing next to you in the airport, but who said that all of them are truly human? In November of the year 2025, a passenger flying from Turkey to Syria noticed several glowing orange spheres at once outside the window. They were located slightly below the airplane and did not move like ordinary aircraft. There was no blinking of navigation lights, no understandable trajectory, no sound. They were simply hanging in the sky, evenly, quietly, and too calmly. Some passengers decided that these could be experimental military systems. Others immediately started talking about extraterrestrial vehicles, working on technology that is currently inaccessible to us. But in one thing, everyone agreed. These lights looked as if they were not supposed to be there. And when you see such a thing at an altitude where everything must be calculated and controllable, the anxiety becomes completely different. A viral video with an Indian actress in the airport caused a stormy reaction not because of the appearance of the celebrity itself, but because of a strange movement of a woman next to her. At first glance, everything looked harmless. Someone reached out a hand, walked by, and the scene ended. But upon slow-motion viewing, the viewers noticed that the stranger seemingly tried to grab a few hairs of the actress. For the majority, this means nothing, but people familiar with ritual practices immediately pointed out an alarming detail. Hair is considered a personal item that can be used in magical rites. Later, the recording was analyzed frame by frame, and it was found out that she did not get the hair after all. If her intention was truly unkind, it did not work. But the moment itself left a feeling that sometimes strange things happen, not in dark rooms, but right in the crowd, in plain sight of everyone. One of the Frontier Airlines flights turned into a real chaos when a woman suddenly started screaming loudly right in the cabin. At first, the passengers simply froze, expecting that the crew would quickly calm her down, but the situation was only worsening. The woman was climbing onto the seats, moving in jerks, and looked as if she had completely lost control. Then, another female passenger in a gray hat stood up and declared to the whole airplane that something dark had manifested through this woman, and that it was no longer her speaking. These words only amplified the panic. Some later called what happened a severe nervous breakdown. Others were certain that it looked like true possession. But for the people on board, there was almost no difference. In an enclosed space at an altitude, any inexplicable chaos is felt many times more frightening. A passenger of an airplane flying over Russia noticed bright streaks of light outside the window, rapidly cutting through the sky. They were moving with incredible speed, leaving behind fiery trails resembling debris falling from space. But at the same time, the trajectory looked too precise, almost controlled. Disputes immediately started on the internet. Some considered that it was a meteor shower. Others assured that the video captured an object that was shot down or that had lost control. The glowing trails disappeared just as quickly as they appeared, but the recording left behind a feeling that this was not just a natural phenomenon. Too even, too organized, too strange. On the video from a Turkey airport, an ordinary queue at first does not arouse suspicions. People are standing, waiting, everything looks customary. But then the camera captures a strange moment. An elderly woman standing behind a young girl suddenly touches her shoulder with something resembling a needle. The girl turns around, clearly not understanding what happened, while the woman behind pretends as if nothing happened. When the recording got onto the network, the viewers started to build the darkest versions, including a connection with rituals and voodoo practices. Perhaps it was a simple accidental movement, but the gesture itself looked too precise. And after such a video, you begin to perceive differently, even an ordinary queue in the airport, where a stranger is standing literally a few centimeters away from you. During a flight, the passengers noticed an object outside the window that was impossible to confuse with an ordinary airplane. It resembled a metallic flying saucer, hovering slightly above their aircraft. Along the edges of the object, lights were blinking rhythmically, and its surface reflected the light as if it was absolutely real and physical. The strangest thing, it did not simply fly past, but for some time moved nearby, matching the speed of the airplane, as if observing it. When the video appeared on the internet, opinions divided instantly. Some spoke of a secret drone or advanced military technology. Others were certain that this was a real contact right in the air. But everyone agreed on one thing: such a sight is hard to forget if you see it from the window of an airplane. This case on an American Airlines flight became viral for a very strange reason. After a conflict with the crew, a passenger returned to his seat, but his behavior changed sharply. He began to growl, chew on his own mask, and move as if he had completely lost touch with reality. The people around looked truly frightened. His eyes seemed glassy, and his movements unnatural and sharp. Theories quickly appeared on the internet that this was not an ordinary nervous breakdown. Some assured that the man supposedly could not hold a human appearance. Others spoke about possession or psychosis. But everyone was united by one feeling: what was happening looked too creepy for an ordinary hysteria on board an airplane. An airport employee named Andrea was conducting a routine luggage check until she opened the suitcase of a female passenger from Kuala Lumpur. Inside, there were old bones, a strange box, dried mushrooms, wrapped containers, and even footwear with a secret compartment inside. The woman calmly explained that she uses all this in ritual practices. Later, it turned out that the bones were about 5 to 6 years old, and they were indeed used in voodoo ceremonies. Formally, the items did not violate biological security, therefore a part of the things were allowed to be kept. But the atmosphere of the check itself became so alarming that Andrea later confessed. It seriously seemed to her as if after this encounter, a curse could be placed upon her. One passenger during a flight over New York accidentally filmed a moment that caused a storm of discussions on the internet. Outside the window, next to the airplane, dozens of glowing objects were moving. They did not approach aggressively, did not cross the course, but simply stayed nearby, as if accompanying the aircraft. Exactly this frightened people the most. If these were unknown vehicles, then why did they follow the airplane? Some suggested that the objects were simply observing the people, as if studying us from the outside. Others joked that Earth for them is just a stop on the route. But when you look at dozens of lights flying next to a passenger airplane at an immense altitude, such jokes no longer seem funny. Thank you for watching this video up to the end. Be sure to put a like and share it with friends if these stories forced you to look differently at ordinary flights. Subscribe to the channel and press the bell in order not to miss our next, even more captivating episodes. Until soon.